Good afternoon. Live from the Circus Sports at the Mid-Kentucky Downs studio, I'm Ross Johnston. The Final Four is set with Arizona, Illinois, Michigan, and UConn all picking up Elite Eight wins over the weekend. The Vols' incredible run came to an end in Chicago yesterday as they fell 95-62 to the Michigan Wolverines. Jacoby Gillespie led the way with 21 points to end his time with the Vols, who finished the year 25-12. UConn pulled off an incredible comeback win over Duke last night in D.C., 73-72, to punch a ticket to their third Final Four in 4 years. Next Saturday's matchups in Indianapolis are as follows: Illinois and UConn at 5:09 p.m., followed by Arizona and Michigan at 7:49 p.m., with trips to the national championship on the line. Lastly, NFL owners' meetings have begun in Arizona. Titans GM Mike Borgonzi is expected to talk with media today. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, visit usstn.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans of Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. My microphone's all jacked up. I guess it's Lucas was sitting over here and he's got it all.
It's jacked up? It's
jacked up.
It's been lifting some weights.
I guess so. It's all jacked. Hey, listen. Shout out to your wife, Blaine. All four Final Four teams, dark blue, just like she said.
She is so elated. and then she says, and I don't know conferences, but aren't two of those in the Big Ten? She said, what happened to the SEC?
Oh, yeah. I was going to bring that up. That may be a little hurtful to everybody, but there ain't no SEC team.
Said. She was like, well, I thought they were the best. I was like, well, sometimes the best doesn't always win, hon.
Yeah.
Someone who doesn't watch sports, yeah. She was celebrating her birthday anyway today at work, so she was all pumped up about that. She said, yeah, everybody was telling me because I told them in the office, too, a long time ago. I was like, oh, okay.
Well, I'd love to hear everybody's reaction to Tennessee's loss because Twitter reactions and message board reactions were pretty funny, and we'll get to those a little bit later. I saved a few.
I'm not big, I don't read the message board.
I was scrolling.
I know you was doing backflips when you was reading them.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Because I love a good meltdown. I love a good meltdown. I take enjoyment in the misery of others. Number 1 seeds Arizona and Michigan. Number 2 seeds UConn, and number 3 seed Illinois all advanced to Indianapolis. A couple of blowouts, and I'm like, oh man, is this going to be a boring Elite Eight? And then, man, I have to say that Duke game. No offense to Ross back there. He's
that's right.
He's a big Duke fan,
which is weird, but because you go there. But yeah,
lived in North Carolina for a while, but yeah.
Would you like to express your sadness, frustrations, your feeling in the moments when that old guy, that kid who hadn't hit pretty much anything all game, made the game-winning shot? Would you like to take us through your emotional roller coaster?
I'll keep it brief because I was at the game, and so I feel like my heart has been snatched from my soul. But it was awful. At halftime, I was very confident and was texting some people accordingly.
You're the reason they lost.
You should know better than that playing sports. The game is never over till it's over.
I know.
It's never over till it's over.
Of course, it was hard to comprehend the moment because, it happened so quickly.
Right.
But when that kid rose up, I was like, it's going in. And then I didn't realize till after the game that he was 0 for 4. From 3 until that point. Of course, he's going to lace a 35-footer from the logo, no problem.
Did you know where he was from?
I did not know where he was from.
Yeah.
He's from Indy, right?
Mr. Indiana basketball.
Yeah. Well,
true freshman, yes, went to Greenfield High School. Mr. Mullins. And he's not related to Chris Mullins, by the way. People used to ask me that always in high school from what I know, what everybody tells me. But he was a big shot maker. Winning Mr. Basketball in Indiana is a big deal, let alone I think he was the Gatorade Player of the Year. You may want to check on that. So this dude was a big shot maker. And by the way, he averaged, I think, like 10, 12 points during the season. So he had complete confidence. You saw him how he pulled up there? Oh, man, might have passed it back to the senior who passed it to me. I would have passed it back. Like
he ain't passing it anymore, is he?
He was like, no, I am that dude. Soon as he let it go, he put his arms up like, I know that's money. Like, wow. Man. Whew. That was unfortunate there. Oh, man, I can't believe that. I couldn't believe it. I read
the reactions have been great.
Oh my God, I cannot believe he made that.
And this I know Vols fans won't want to hear this because they obviously had a tough day yesterday. I would rather lose the way y'all lost 10 times out of 10 than what just happened to Duke.
Yeah,
that's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So do you agree with that? Would you rather lose a blowout?
Well, I put a translation like us losing in the Super Bowl, you know, to tie it to one. Yeah, I just, hey, man, we were just never in it from the beginning. It hurts that you had a shot and you could have won it and you didn't.
Yeah.
That hurts the athlete more than anything, let alone the fan base.
I think you should put that out as a poll.
Yeah.
And let's try to do a 2-hour poll. Let's end it at the end because I want to be able to get to the results today at the end of the show. But I think that's an interesting poll because I know we have a lot of Tennessee fans, so hopefully you've been able to maybe think objectively about your loss to compare it to Duke's loss. Mm-hmm. Would like to say this. It definitely hurts or helps your guys' case, on the losing close.
Well, you can tell us yours.
I haven't said, I think I'd rather lose a close one. I've experienced a close loss in with Memphis and Kansas in the championship game.
Yes.
And so I've experienced it. I was still sad, but if that would have been a blowout,
Derrick Rose and guys.
Yeah. If it would have been a blowout, I think things would have gone way worse. Like nobody just went to class the next day at Memphis. If it would have been a blowout, I don't know what would have happened in Memphis because we all expected to win. So I don't know. I think I go on the other side. But I mean, like, I get it either way.
No, I get it. But, Los, what are your reasons? I could say for me, it's just like the thought of you will talk years down the road.
Yeah. Like
about
what
how
ifs.
we could have won. I mean, just think about Kentucky in that year. They threw it all the way down the court to Leitner, and he turns around and hits the game winner, right? So you're going always, man, if we should. And just think, those athletes, what their careers may have been if they would have won it. So that's why I think that just hurt. If you were out of it, for a half, and there was no way, especially the second half, it's just like, they were just the better team, and they just whooped us. They kicked our butts. You can we're good enough. That one, we were good enough. We just came up short. Oh, that will haunt you for life.
Yeah, because I still think about it.
I can't imagine for a fan.
Yeah, but I think for a player it'd be worse.
Oh man, yeah.
I'll say this. Here's the craziest stat. I cannot believe this is a real stat.
I know. Go ahead and read it.
You want me? I'm going to read it.
What?
1 seeds when leading by 15 points during a game were 143-0, undefeated. Now they're 143-1 thanks to Duke. So maybe that is a little bit more painful because you'll always be, for now, that one.
Statistic, yeah.
Oof.
It ain't even statistics that make it hurt worse. It's just like what Blaine was saying, the way you go through the game when you think it's in the bag to a degree and then it gets taken from you, deservedly so. It just hurts, man.
And then both of those, it was 2 guys open. Like, I mean, the guy just, he didn't throw it high enough. Like, it tipped in there. Oh, man. 2 guys are open. I mean, Hey, Grant Hill was calling it. I know he was sitting there like, oh, my gosh. And he did a great job. But, man, just being a Dookie, I would have just, I would have lost my mind. That was very unfortunate. Hey, man, tip the cap, man. You could hate him or love him, Hurley and crew, man.
Yeah.
They got it done.
Headbutting officials and everything. Loved it.
Also, you said some officiators?
No. But I'm just like, did you see the video of him hitting the official in the head after that shot?
Not.
Yeah, he kind of put his head on one of the officials, which people were saying that should maybe have been a tech. I'm not mad about that. I'm just saying, like, if that was Duke that did that, the internet would burn down.
Well, I thought the referees did a real good job because they did. People on the sideline were coming on. They were at excitement, but they were going back. I mean, they were on the court, to couple steps. I mean, you got to understand the moment. Let's don't make it about the referees and then not calling a call.
Especially after that UT game and Michigan game where it basically just felt like the referees were on the court blowing their whistles and everything like every 30 seconds.
It was too much.
It was way too much. Like sometimes you just have the physical game on your hand and you got to realize it's going to be a physical game. Maybe let them play a little bit, especially in basketball.
That's UT, man. That game was pretty much over halftime. And I didn't even want to relent to that. I saw my man Charles and I texted him and said, hey, man, Charles Barkley said, the game is over. We're moving. I'm like, at half. I was like, but dang, there's still a chance if they get hot and then the other team gets cold. You got to remember, these guys are in college, so they may relax a little bit, and that can form some. No, he's like, they're overmatched. There is no possibility.
If I were filling out a bracket, I would have probably had Michigan go all the way.
Well, he wants Arizona.
Yeah,
and he can, but he thinks Michigan may possibly beat Arizona now after that performance.
I mean, they're just deep, and they play like a team. Like you remember how we were talking about Oklahoma City Thunder and the Indiana Pacers last year, and how both those teams played like a team.
They don't care who's
even Florida last year as national champions, and I feel a little bit of that with this Michigan team.
I think Arizona does it too, though. By the way.
I want to get to more University of Tennessee talk, but we got to go to Coach T. Before I bring Coach T on, remember, he predicted Michigan, Illinois, Arizona, and Duke to make the Final Four. So he went 3 for 4, which is not pretty bad. Which is not bad last year.
He DM'd me.
Yeah,
sorry, Coach.
Oh, you gamblers! You should have. I was like, I don't gamble.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, Coach.
Yeah, Duke let you down. Hopefully Ross apologized to you when he picked up the phone, Coach T. But Coach T, you're on with Blaine and Zach.
You got him right, huh?
Man, good afternoon. Hey, I told Ross Duke was vulnerable, and I should have listened to my first mind and put him out of there. I was texting Blaine the whole weekend because he was riding hot. And that Houston game, we destroyed him. And by the way, Zach, if you follow my instructions, I'm gonna need a little dinner out of you, at least a lunch or something. 'Cause you should have made a little paper, but I did great 3 out of 4. And I told you guys I'll call back. Now go back to Blaine's situation he mentioned a moment ago. I've been there, done that as a coach. In a situation when you're getting blown out, your mind is gone. You're just trying to keep the players in that game to keep everybody positive. At that point, you're trying to go deep into the bench to find somebody that can give you some light, some fire to do something. But when you got a close game like that, I'd rather lose a close game because at least if I'm going to get beat, take it from me. You know what I'm saying? I don't want to give it to you. Just take it from me. And Tennessee was in that game early, but when Ahmet went out and Kerry called himself stepping up, want to kind of fight, at that point, when you're doing that, you already in your mind know that you're going to probably lose. So Tennessee fans, I'm sorry. Take a towel, dry your tears up because Big Ten moving on. I gave you guys in football, right? So you know how in the Derby, you guys say we need the horse races, a triple crown? I'm going to give you the triple crown. Michigan's going to win it all at the end of the week. You're going to possibly have a Big Ten final in Illinois versus Michigan. Michigan wins that. And then I'm taking my girls, UCLA girls, to upset UConn to pull off a Big Ten triple crown. Put your money on it, baby.
Oh, okay.
I wrote it down. I don't know about that women's UConn one. I don't know UCLA.
I like it.
Know about that one.
I like it. That's a risky one right there. But hey, listen. Scared money don't make money. That's what they say.
Yeah, I mean, you would know. You be gambling.
I did gamble a little bit this weekend.
Did you?
Yeah, I won some.
Okay.
I won some. I forgot to hit send on my NCAA bet, so I won at NBA this weekend. So I forgot my NCAA bets, put those in, but I did some NBA.
Does it not feel weird still, by the way, to say UCLA like Big Ten triple crown?
I won't embrace it. I think that sounds so crazy to me.
Sounds awful.
Like, what? They're in the Big... they're in the Big Ten. I keep forgetting that they're in the Big Ten.
All right, when we come back, this loss from University of Tennessee has fans asking, or really saying, that they're just not a championship athletic department. Can you believe it? We'll talk more about the University of Tennessee fan reaction and the game versus Michigan. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone.
What are the marks of a good parent? They warn their kids about danger, who to trust, what to avoid, and how to make smarter choices, of course. And hey, folks, it's Blaine Bishop for Eurofix. And Eurofix repairs European vehicles, and Eurofix believes in warning their customers, too. In one case, Eurofix wrote a $5,500 refund check to a customer. You said, who does that? Well, Eurofix polices themselves. And you say, why? Because not every auto shop tells you the full story. Some oversell, others cut corners, and some just may not know what to do. So you could pay for something that you didn't need. How often do you think that? And Eurofix makes quality repairs at below dealer pricing and has been since 1999. You get a free 15-minute, no-wrench inspection with a 3-year, 36,000-mile nationwide warranty on all the work Eurofix performs. And rental cars are available with every appointment. So we're trying to keep you on the road, so you stay on the road and not on the tow truck. Family owned locally for over a quarter century. 5 locations all over the state of Tennessee. And all you have to do is just give them a call at 844-EUROFIX. That's right, 844-EUROFIX, or check them out online at myEurofix.com. That's myEurofix.com.
Cover 2, Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door and broadcasting live from the 104.5 The Zone Circus Sports Studio. Kentucky's largest sports book can now be found at Circus Sports in Kentucky Downs. 615-737-1045 is the number. We want to get your reactions. I got a few people that have reacted. But first, 95-62, Michigan beats the Tennessee Volunteers. Now, listen, Michigan beat Alabama, too. And my wife's a Michigan fan. My mom's a University of Tennessee fan, and the wife got the final say both times on those games. Michigan just plays like such a unbelievable unit together, and it really is fun to watch. It probably is not fun to watch if you're like... It wasn't really fun to watch Michigan beat Alabama, but it was pretty fun to watch Michigan beat University of Tennessee.
No, you're
I'm just a fan of it. I'm just a fan, Like
you're wrong, man.
I don't want to appreciate good basketball when it's being played against my team.
You are a troller, man. That is so wrong.
Jacoby Gillespie scored 21 points on 8 of 22 shooting for Tennessee. It was I have to kind of agree with Charles Barkley. It was pretty much over at halftime. Never once did Tennessee have a better win probability than Michigan throughout the entire game, which should come as no surprise with how the game flow was.
Because going into the game, there was, 8-point favorite, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I thought the referees...
8.5, yeah.
8.5. The referees let them play physical, so I thought, that meant, Tennessee would have a great shot of winning. They were getting rebounds early, and it's almost like... If you watch Michigan, they were trying to really assess what the Tennessee was doing because it was, back and forth there, 16-14 type game at that time, going back and forth. And then all of a sudden, Tennessee gets in a little bit of foul trouble, and then they go on the dreaded drought of hitting basket. I think Michigan went 24 for 2 or whatever, 24 in a row, 21 points in a row or something, where they made baskets, and that kind of just ended it all. At that time, Carey and Estrella were probably the only two who were having impacts, which when you're having scoring issues, Gillespie needs to score, more. Eventually did, and he couldn't get it done. Until it didn't really matter.
Right.
So I think that was really the big deal there. But Michigan, they play great team ball. They know who they are, what they can do. They can play every style of basketball. Up and down, slow it down, execution. And by the way, their defense to me was better than Tennessee's. They locked down. Man to man. So I thought that's really where the game was pretty much done. I thought this team, I was really surprised for Tennessee. Are you fans? I thought this was Barnes' best coaching job he's done. I know they're talking about a 3 straight, Elite 8 and everything else. Because this team, the expectations to me, the last game is probably where I thought they would end. Going to the Elite 8 with this group of guys, I thought was an outstanding job by him. The question is always going to be, when he's going to retire or not. I think he's 72. He'll be 73 in July. He said he's coming back, so I think they should be happy about that. But here's my thing is you could tell a difference between these Final Four teams compared to Tennessee is that they go into the transfer portal and bring in more, let's say, veteran players. People who have played in college basketball, maybe they're in year 3 or 4, and maybe they should start changing a little bit on their philosophy, I think can get them over the hump. They have the coaching and everything else. I know they're losing one of the coaches. But getting some, because you got to look at Michigan's team. That's what they did.
Yeah.
And their budget it's comparable budgets. So I just think that, it's maybe not, you can see the rankings of transfer portal guys. I think Michigan was number 2. Tennessee was in the 20s. For basketball as far as transfer guys. So you got to get some more higher profile guys in the transfer. I don't know how easy that is, but that's the difference when you get down here to the Elite 8 and you want to have some players with experience and, in the moment. And so they didn't have enough. They didn't have enough.
Because I think Rick Barnes is kind of showing the age is just a number.
Yes. Yeah. He's doing a good job. And he played more in the rotation in this year's tournament. I love that. He usually kind of tightens up and doesn't rotate a lot of players. So I thought this was his best shot, of doing, a better coaching job. I don't think it had nothing to do with coaching. They just went cold. Man, I was just like, oh, man, this is Debbie Downer. I don't like watching, non-competitive games. But I still believe that they could, if they went on a run in the second, but it just never was going to happen. You saw it.
It just never did. And listen, it kind of maybe to your point of going to get those in through transfer portal and everything, getting those kinds of players means that maybe they are able to handle the games where they start losing a lead a little bit better, or the lead starts widening, because you need those veteran and proven players. Because you saw it in the regular season with Tennessee, is like once they had a lead and they start dwindling the lead, the other team starts dwindling and going after that lead, they start to crumble a little bit. And I wonder if not. Like,
and they don't have
again,
enough
you kind of saw that with Florida too, right?
It's always about they don't have enough firepower. Like, I mean, we got to be able to score. Now, here's the question. If you ever want to question Barnes, is the game when you get in a tournament, the games when you start getting closer and closer, is it more about offense or is it more about defense? Is it more about scoring? Is it more about, because what you see is Michigan just was putting up points. You can see them leading into this game.
Yeah.
I mean, they're 80 or above. Like, you're just like, oh, my gosh. I mean, so what really wins? And do you just need to lock down at portions of games when you're in the tournament and not the entire game? Like how they're, you got to be able to score. If you can't score, you have some, creative players that can take things off the dribble and play multiple fashions of the game, slow it down, walk it up, to, we're going to high fly, run and gun, and we'll be able to lock down. That's all Michigan was.
Yeah.
And I think that's easy, by the way.
Well, I think you saw it last year with Florida and Duke, and this year with a lot, I see a lot in Michigan, is that they have the talent, but they also know what to do with the talent. And to your point, you were talking about them being versatile in the way they can attack you and adapt their game plan because they're so deep that I think almost you have to be deeper for the playoffs on your roster with the talent than you have to be in the regular season. I almost think that like having those different kinds of players available to you to be able to play different styles and having a deep bench is the way to go. Yeah. What do you think, Ross?
Well, I think like you guys both bring up good points because, especially to Blaine's point, these coaches are so good, even in a setting like this where you get maybe one day to prepare for a team, they can figure out how to stop other teams' sets that they run on offense. You need guys who can break down a defense one-on-one and have the talent. Like, remember when Tennessee had Dalton Connect a couple years ago? Yeah. One, transfer, but two, someone who could go get a bucket. And Rick Barnes can teach them how to play defense in their system.
Right.
Yeah.
Right? But I still think they recruit too many guys that maybe aren't as talented offensively, that maybe look more like a Tennessee basketball player out of high school, instead of recruiting a more talented player and making them learn your system and your defense and stuff. So...
Yeah, to get to your point, talking about defense, Blaine, they both had.
I don't know. I was just asking.
No, I think it's a good question. I will say this: 42 rebounds each team, Tennessee and Michigan. But here's the difference: 19 offensive rebounds for Tennessee, and 8 for Michigan. 23 defensive rebound teams for Tennessee, 34 for Michigan. So Michigan had a defensive rebounding edge. But also, they led 84% of the time. They were hitting more of their shots. You don't have a lot of offensive rebounds.
Of shooting from the field and three-pointers? So I felt like they were missing.
That was bad.
Field goal percentage was 52% for Michigan.
Okay.
32% for Tennessee. They were 24 of 76 field goal percentage.
And what was threes?
Threes, they were 5 of 26, Tennessee was. That's 19%. Wow. 10 of 27 for Michigan. That's 37%, and that's above the average, but that's usually right around the average.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's even with all the turnovers that Tennessee did have, they scored 21 points off turnovers, whereas they only scored 9 for Michigan off turnovers. So it wasn't like.
But Michigan was hitting
really
their
weird.
First shot, though. That's
the thing.
Even
that
offensive rebounds.
To your point, the offense won Michigan the game, and maybe it's just one of those games where, because Tennessee always had a good defense. We talked about their rebounding prowess, right? And I just kind of look at these stats. Everything but the shooting percentage tells me, okay, this should be a pretty even game. Then you get to the shooting percentage, and that goes to your point. A little bit more about offense, a little bit more about needing a Dalton Connect on. If you had a Dalton Connect on this Tennessee team this year, you may still have lost, but you may have lost a closer game. But you also had a better chance to win, and I just don't think they had. I think Jacoby Gillespie played pretty well. but you still need more than one of those kinds of guys. And even then, he wasn't really a high percentage shooter in this game. But even if he was the best scorer on the team.
Yeah. I got a question. Do y'all think that Nate Aean should come back? Obviously, I think he's going to the draft, but I think he should come back. I really do.
I guess I don't understand because I'm so focused on NFL draft stuff. I don't have time for another draft. So maybe someone can call in and educate me that has a better draft. Yeah, should have. To me, I'm just, again, Nate Aean should probably come back. I don't understand why he would go into the NBA, but I also understand that the NBA drafts people pretty high, and sometimes you're a better NBA player than NCAA player. I don't know, but someone can call in and educate me about the relation.
7 points. I mean, once you start playing against like NBA level type players, as you can see, Michigan's going to have some of those guys. Having that high ankle sprain, which I've had, is a kind of a 6-week injury. So you got to give him credit for fighting through playing. But once you start playing against these guys, he kind of melted away, and you didn't really see him out there until later in the game. So I think he's going to be a top 15 pick. So if you say you're going to be a top 15 pick, do you come out?
It's hard to say no to that.
Right. And so that, I think, is what's going to happen here, unfortunately. I've said before, if I was him, I would stay. But see, it's just a different mindset of when you're in this AAU, and he was already going to go first round before he even got to Tennessee. He was just using it for a year to grow and develop his body and his game. Yeah. And so you start looking at that, and you're just like, he's probably going to have to come out. But I do agree with you guys. I would stay one more year just so I could prove that I'm an elite player at the college level. But see, that's not what they do. This is the same way. This is the same reason, why Dalton Knecht didn't go higher. Because they're looking at his age. And how I look at his performance. His performance says he should have been a higher pick. But you know what they looked at? Oh, but he's older. So what? I'm getting him in that first contract. He shouldn't be. They're looking at the upside of Dalton Knecht and saying, not Dalton Knecht, Aean, looking at his upside saying, oh, man, his upside's going to be maybe close to Kevin Durant. And they go, he has to come out. And where we're looking at surface level, what we see now, and we go 7 points, oh, man, there's no way. No way. What's the guy's for Michigan's name? Was it Ludenberger or whatever his name was? There were two different players in this game.
I'm with you. Now, listen, you look at the 15th pick last year got around $24 million contract at the NBA. So, everything goes up from there, from the 15th pick on. I don't know. I'm trying to load up what 2026, 2027 season is. But I don't know. I would assume that's more money than you're making at the NIL for basketball, but I have no clue. But I do think that we're getting into... I don't know. I just feel like he should come back. And I'm asking University of Tennessee fans, and they're all like, oh, he's gone.
Oh, yeah, it's no doubt. Some will say he's a top 10 pick. Yeah. I'm not watching closely all the different guys, but I know for sure he's going to top 15. He's just a 6'10" guy who can handle the rock. He could take you off the dribble. Just think about that. He could shoot threes. He could do the mid-range. And then at times he could put his back to the basket.
I guess I just feel like I've seen better one-year wonders at the NCAA level than Nate Aean.
That's why I said it's what we see. Yeah. And see, service level, we see, oh, he's just okay. He needs to come back. Yeah. Well, in theory, they're looking at the upside. This guy's off the charts.
Right. Because, he has all the talent, right?
We haven't seen it yet.
We just haven't seen it.
Not only consistent basis. He went on a run there for a minute there, like halfway through the season, though. And before the ankle injury, you start saying, okay, now I see what they've been talking about.
And maybe what we saw throughout the playoffs, because we know that he did in, I can't remember which game it actually was, but he came out of a pile in the tournament game. Limping a little bit. We don't know how much the ankle really was affecting him throughout this tournament. Yeah. Really know. We may hear stuff or whatever, but we may really know about how that was affecting him. So it'll be interesting to see, what goes on. I got to say this. When UT loses a game, fans do not lose gracefully.
You take joy in that.
I do take joy.
It is kind of fun.
Listen, I take joy in Auburn fans losing. It's not just a UT thing, but I enjoy the misery of others. Listen, I'm a Titans fan. I enjoy other people feeling as miserable as I do when I watch the team sometimes.
Gotcha.
Here's some tweets and some message boards that we got some reactions. This is from @Blake Tucker on Twitter. NIL was supposed to be, quote, let guys profit off their likeness as an athlete, not, quote, let ultra-rich programs buy the best roster in America. So he's blaming NIL for the reason why the Tennessee lost yesterday.
Oh. Well, I don't know how much Michigan spent on their play. I have no idea. I would assume that the budgets are somewhat close. I mean, Tennessee's a pretty big program, too, now. Let's not get it wrong.
Yeah, let's see. All right, this is from Dr. J10. This is from a message board that says, we're just not a championship athletic department, which I saw a lot of people say this, and especially after Vanderbilt swept Tennessee in baseball this weekend. And one of the longest games, college baseball games for Tennessee Vandy ever. It went like 16 innings. This is what he said, Dr. J10. We are a good program in most things, but rarely elite in anything. It is what it is. Good season. This is our ceiling in basketball, which is pretty darn good, and most programs would like our level of success, but we will never win a ring. Okay, so I want to get back to the never win a ring thing.
Ooh.
This is Vanderbilt athletic program is better right now. This is from Sullivan. No disputing that now. Sucks, but it's true that Vandy is the better athletic program, which it's debatable. I think it is debatable, but trending in the right direction is Vanderbilt.
Oh, yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
Fire everyone, says Smokey's Hal. He says, except Barnes and Karen Weekly, two best coaches on campus right now. And then it's a story as old as time. Pipe Layer 72. He says, UT crapped the bed in big games. 46 years of this crap. Terrible game plan. The refs screw us, which is always my favorite one. Can't hit shots. It is what it is. Gotta love the misery to be a fan.
Oh, my. This is right after the game.
Yep.
Okay.
It might have been during the game.
Yeah, some of these may be during the game.
It's embarrassing. I mean, especially if you're an alum and a fan. They're like, they got whooped. So I understand. They're pissed. I get it. Hey,
yeah.
Man, that was walkover, man. That was two different levels of programs right there.
Now, this guy says we will never win a ring, but this never win a championship. I mean, he's obviously talking about basketball. But listen, hey, Rick Barnes, he's over 70. And the last time he made it to a Final Four was in 2003 in Texas with Kevin Durant. So if fans are feeling this way, and listen, I'm not trying to say you have to fire Rick Barnes, but if you've hit your ceiling with Rick Barnes, I mean, isn't it time for him to go? I mean, you got to maybe bring in fresh blood again. I think Rick Barnes is excellent. I don't think his age is an issue. I don't think the game has passed him by or anything like that. He may have to recruit a little bit differently, including dipping into the transfer portal a little bit better. But I just wonder, if fans feel this way, I mean, how do you guys feel about Rick Barnes?
Well, first and foremost, you got to respect what the fans are saying, but you can't, right after getting your butts whooped on a bad performance there in Elite Eight, and think about the job that he did this season with those quality players. I just think you don't be a knee-jerk reaction. I don't believe that at all. I thought he did a really good job. Maybe his best coaching performance.
I would agree.
I think it was his best.
Teams he's had. So maybe he's figured some things out. And so maybe if we had one or two other players, whether they're starters or not, but they're veteran players who's been in the moments before, and most likely, guys are going to be starters. I think they can get over the hump. Yeah. I think that's what actually, think about this now. This is what actually probably drives Rick Barnes. I mean, he can sit at home on his rocking chair, throw rocks at people right now at this point in 72. But guess what? He wants to go out here and coach because guess what? The drive to, I want to get into the national championship, at least of another Final Four to see if you can get it done. I think that's probably what's driving him. So now I think he's got a lot left in the tank.
I do too. And I think that fans would also, for those that are in the boat of fire Rick Barnes now, need to remember that there's a couple of basketball openings that are probably a little bit more attractive than yours. This may not be the time to dip into the market to look for a head coach. And not to say that's the only reason to keep Rick Barnes, but that's just one of the many reasons to keep Rick Barnes right now. I will say this. Emmett Jones posts in the chat on the F&M Bank chat, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook Live, says Heupel will be gone before Rick Barnes. And I do wonder if fans feel that way, but we'll see. I mean, I still believe in Josh Heupel at Tennessee a little bit, maybe a little less than I have, but I'm interested to see what he's able to do with these young quarterbacks this year and see how this goes, because I think that's a big telling. His calling card has been getting the most out of quarterbacks that he's gotten. Okay, well, that's now got to continue with these two young kids, and I'm interested to see how that looks here. When we come back, if you guys want to call in, 615-737-1045, do you think Rick Barnes will be gone or Josh Heupel will be gone first? You guys call in and answer that question. I have no horse in the race on that one. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone. Cover 2. Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors, 615-737-1045. Who do you think's out first, Josh Heupel or Rick Barnes? And I'm going to have to say I think it's Josh Heupel. Now, we're not calling for anybody to get fired right now, but just saying in the future, if things were not to improve or things were to continue going in the way that they've been going, because I think Rick Barnes, he'll get to choose when he leaves. And as we kind of talked about, this whole hour so far, is that we think age is just a number. We don't think the game has passed him by. Mm-hmm. Josh Heupel just comes off a year where they went 8-4 in the regular season, and that's about where we all kind of expected them. Now, they lost to every ranked team, which happened to be 4 SEC teams that they played. They lost to Georgia, they lost to Alabama, Oklahoma, and Vanderbilt. And then they lose to Illinois in the Music City Bowl, 28-30. So they ended the whole entire season 8-5. I do think that Josh Heupel's seat is definitely warmer than Rick Barnes' seat. And I don't think I'm crazy for saying that, but football just means a little bit more in Tennessee, and they also got boat raced against Ohio State. I wonder about Heupel's longevity at the University of Tennessee compared to Rick Barnes, who at any point could decide that he wants to retire. So maybe that's why you may think that Rick Barnes is going to be the one out first. But I think he's got a long way to go. I mean, at least, and I don't think in football you have as long of a leash as like a coach like Rick Barnes does.
Yeah, I would say Rick Barnes probably has 2 or 3 years, especially if they continue to do what they're doing now and, making Sweet 16s, Elite 8s. That's pretty impressive, especially when you're not a basketball school known for that. Now, football, on the other hand, is a little bit different because, the football expectations are just so much higher. And Tennessee has a lot of pride there with all their programs, but, being in the national title hunt in football just means more. I mean, you could talk about the chance of SEC, but, yeah, I think a lot of pressure is going to be on Heupel this year, going into the season with 2 young quarterbacks, one's a phenom freshman in Faison, and then McIntyre kid from Nashville who's been with the program for a year, who now is going to have to go perform in games live, so he knows the system. And then if they start off slow or somewhat against, the SEC opponents, then what happens then? And I think it'll be, and I don't know their schedule yet. So that'll be really interesting because I think the heat will ratchet up if they don't perform very well. And it could be more player-driven and based off their quarterback than anything else because, he's known for offense. And if they don't put up points and then now you've hired a new DC in Knowles who's proven in college football and, they got him. So, hey.
And he's a tough customer. And let me say this, I've heard a lot
of coaches that, that he's worked with, so they should be able to adapt. I thought, his system is a little tough to learn. Mm-hmm. So they'll be quicker more to, learn that system. And some of the players that he recruited and coached too. So hopefully that happens, but how much does that make a difference in what Heupel's doing on the offensive side of the ball with his quarterbacks and the offense?
Because I remember, and talking about just Jim Knowles real quick, I've heard people question Arvell Reese's ability to digest and understand and diagnose Jim Knowles' playbook, but then in 2024, and that was a big red flag for some people. Well, then he gets into 2025 with Matt Patricia, and that's his big calling card, according to every coach, every testing metric is his ability to diagnose. So Jim Knowles is asked, I'm not saying he asked more than Matt Patricia or anything, I'm just saying, I wonder how quick these Tennessee players are going to adapt that are existing, and I think that's why he brought in a bunch of players from Penn State and such, and coaches to make sure, because he knows that sometimes players have trouble adapting to his style of play, which is different than a little bit than Tim Banks.
So the expectations aren't going to change. That's not going to stop anything. So, I think there's a lot of pressure, especially to ratchet up if they're not winning the way or looking like how they should in fans' eyes. I really believe that. So, it's a tough call, man. Quarterback play, they better look good on offense, Andy, because they're putting a lot of resources and paid a lot of,
well, they said last year coaches. The reason why they're telling you by their actions, the reason why they didn't win was because of the defense last year. Yeah. And they've revamped that entire defense. So there is no, for me, objectively, if you were to be looking at it, there's no excuse for the defense to be the same or worse than it was last year. It has to be better, which if it's better, that means that Josh Heupel with quarterbacks that definitely have less experience in the college game have to be able to match what Joey Aguilar did last year at the bare minimum. And that's still a tough ask because Joey Aguilar was pretty good for Tennessee last year.
Yeah. And then everything ended with 2 losses in the bowl game as well as to Vanderbilt.
Yeah.
And I think that played into where Heupel, who is really consistent in, keeping his coaching staffs together and really try to make strategic decisions instead of emotional decisions. We had to make a decision because of the last two losses, and the defenses didn't perform very well, especially against those type of running quarterbacks. And then, then you go against a pro-style offense in Illinois, and drop back pass, and they didn't look good against either one. So I think he was forced to, maybe against his natural nature of what he's shown in the past, of letting go coaches. And we're talking about, we could talk about what was the DC's name before. I mean, he only had that 1 year where it was down. The year before, they were really good.
Yeah.
So, 1 year bad defense or not up to par, and then boom, you got to make a decision. So that shows you how quickly he has to make a decision. And he understands the pressure that comes with, being, Tennessee Vol head coach.
Let's go to Claire in Murfreesboro. Claire, you're on with Blaine and Zach.
Thank you so much. Full disclosure, my middle name actually is Volette, lifelong Vol fan. Went to school there, met my husband there, sent one of my sons there. I've been following them for my entire life. I love them, so maybe I am biased, but I think Josh Heupel's got a little bit longer leash than you realize.
Okay.
Those of us over the age of 50 aren't going to be fooled again and aren't going to be pressured by the mired in mediocrity Clay Travis crowd that pushed Fulmer out when he had the number 6 recruiting class coming in and Taj Boyd coming in. What could have happened? People, I won't tell you, Clemson's ascension went with Tennessee's descending. So I'm telling you right now, there's a little bit more, even though all you hear is the chatter when we lose from the keyboard warriors. There's a lot of more people that see exactly what Heupel is building, even in this climate of NIL and players can portal here and there. Consistently, they talk about our culture. The culture is good. And for about 10 years, we wandered in the wilderness. Everything was bad. We couldn't even get our footing. We're on a good footing right now. And let me tell you, those my age and above, I hope the grown-ups are in charge now. And we're going to have a little bit more patience because things aren't built in a day. I understand what they did with Indiana, but that was very, very unique when you look at how he did what he did. But I want you to know, I think that most fans are very pleased with Josh Heupel. Adore Rick Barnes. He can stay there as long as he wants as well. But I think we are going to have a little bit longer leash with Heupel because of what we've been through and what he's been able to accomplish in just the short time that he's been there. He's so much better than what we've had. And we're not going to throw it all away for the risk of wandering in the wilderness for 10 more years. I'll hang up and listen. Thank you.
Hey, listen.
Talk to him.
I mean, she gave me goosebumps. I wish she'd call in more.
Man, yeah, Claire. Boy,
yeah, Claire or Volette, however you want to, whichever name you want to use. But
that was great.
I thought that. Hey, listen, I have to say this.
I wonder if she's related to Heupel.
I don't know. Let me just say, I think she makes a lot of good points because
it makes sense too. By the way,
as an Alabama fan, I have been in the wilderness before Saban got there as well. I understand where University of Tennessee fans are coming from. Like I know there's a lot of like newer Alabama fans, it feels like that came on after Saban. I was there before Saban. Like, I understand where Claire is coming from. Like, that kind of hit a chord to me. I was just, when she's talking about, wandering the wilderness, I'm kind of thinking, yeah, I can relate to that. I know it doesn't seem like it, but there is a point where Alabama was just terrible. And I do think that, listen, with at least you know what you're getting with Heupel. But will you ever win the big one? And I know that she's making the point of you hope that the adults in the room are making the decisions, but they're also making their decisions based on sometimes the opinions the noise of the younger crowd. And I don't agree with it all the time, but it's the more you lose, the more that noise just gets louder.
You go 8-4 again, and you lose to little brother again.
Yeah.
You tell me. Like, what do you think is the thought? See, that's what I mean. You mediocre, 8-4, and you can say, oh, we had a young quarterback, 8-4, and you lose to little brother again.
Yeah.
I'm just the brass is not going to be happy.
It's not going to be happy. and we know that, you can go back to the Greg Schiano and all that kind of stuff before all these guys got hired, all that stuff that was going on. A lot of that was driven by the younger fan base, the social media world, the students on campus and all that kind of stuff. Like, all that kind of went down because of that younger voice. And I do think that maybe sometimes I would say the adults in the room need to stick to their guns in certain situations. Maybe not that particular situation, but I do think that in today's world, maybe not listening to social media all the time is a good thing.
So it's hard to get away, man. Yeah. Get away from what she call them. So we need to call it social media war. She called them the keyboard warriors.
The keyboard warriors. All right, we'll get to more of your phones coming up next on the Tennessee Volunteers. We'll kind of do two conversations at the same time. I want to hear from more Tennessee Volunteer fans about our question: who will leave first, Josh Heupel or Rick Barnes? You can even react to what Volette called in and say, "Old Claire said." We want to hear that too. But I've been trying to get this topic on in normal Cover 2 fashion for like 4 or 5 days. Year 2 players for the Tennessee Titans. Who needs to take the jump the most for this team that's not named Cam Ward? And how does that affect the draft? I want to hear from you. Which Year 2 player this team needs to step up the most? Not Cam Ward. And we'll hear from you guys coming back. We'll hear from all you volunteer fans as well. 615-737-1045. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 1045 The Zone.
So if you've been looking for a way to boost your energy, support your metabolism, or just feel better from the inside out, check out Edge Peptide Therapy. They've been specializing in peptide treatment since 2018, based right here in Cool Springs. And peptides are the building blocks of protein. They all already occur naturally in your body, and as we get older, we need to replace them. And the right peptides can help support hormone balance, immune function, healing, and even healthy aging. But not all peptides are created equal. Those cheap research peptides you see online, many are labeled not for human use, aren't made in sterile facilities, and don't go through any testing. So you do not want to gamble with that and your life of putting something else in your body that's not approved. And Edge Peptide Therapy uses only compound peptides from FDA-audited U.S. pharmacies produced under strict standards and third-party tested for purity and strength. And everything is prepared for your safety and your health. Plus, the medical team helps monitor your progress and adjust your dosing. So for peptide therapy you can trust, visit Edge Peptide Therapy today and experience the difference that medical supervised peptides can make for you. So go to edgepeptide.com. That's edgepeptide.com to schedule your appointment today.
Good afternoon, live from the Circus Sports to the Mid-Kentucky Downs studio. I'm Ross Johnston. The Final Four is set with Arizona, Illinois, Michigan, and UConn all picking up Elite Eight wins over the weekend. The Vols' incredible run came to an end in Chicago yesterday as they fell 95-62 to the Michigan Wolverines. Jacoby Gillespie led the way with 21 points to end his time with the Vols, who finished the year 25-12. UConn pulled off an incredible comeback win over Duke last night in D.C., 73-72, to punch a ticket to their third Final Four in 4 years. Next Saturday's matchups in Indianapolis are as follows: Illinois and UConn at 5:09, and then Arizona and Michigan at 7:49, with trips to the championship on the line. For all your foundation repair and your waterproofing needs, visit USSTN.com. Breaking news at once on your home for the Titans and Vols. This is 104.5 The Zone.
Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. We've been talking about Josh Heupel. We've been talking about Rick Barnes, Josh Heupel, Rick Barnes. We put out the question to you guys. Got a great call from Claire. I'm still buzzing off her fantastic call. We got some more calls coming in, 615-737-1045. We also want to hear from you. In your opinion, which non-Cam Ward second-year player needs to make the jump to help the Tennessee Titans the most this year? We'll get to your thoughts and opinions on that. But first, let's go to the phones. Let's go to Barry in Antioch, who's been waiting. Barry, you're on with Blaine and Zach.
Hey, I just want to commend Miss Clara.
Mm-hmm.
She hit everything on the point. And Tennessee fans forget just a short while ago, Tennessee football program was nowhere. In a short few years, look where it is now. They better appreciate what they got. That's all I have to say.
I agree, Barry.
That, Barry.
I appreciate it.
No doubt.
Heard you in the background there.
I know. Yeah, I heard. Yeah, Zach. That was two Zach. You got a twin?
I got as they're like taking care of Barry. As back in the back taking care of Barry. All right, let's go to Larissa. Larissa, you're on Blaine and Zach. Hello, Larissa.
Sorry, guys. I'm having technical issues. I hope you guys are having a great day, had a great weekend.
Lovely.
And, Final Four is on point. I was saying to Ross, everyone's giving him a hard time. But just like our brackets are all busted, we're done. But I want to say Claire also. She's amazing.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. She's absolutely amazing. But there isn't one person specifically that should step up regarding the Titans. You know, this is a team factor right now. Everybody should be on point. Now, give them a little leeway, but right now there should not be one person with the highlight on saying you should step up or you should. No, everybody should be on point. Everybody should rise up. I mean, so it won't be pressure for one person. And let everything kind of ferment and naturally who's going to be the leader or who are the leaders. But these guys get to that point, you're a leader, period. So, but don't put that pressure on anybody else. New team, new mindset, and it's going to be a great season. And sorry for the Vols. Great try, but it didn't happen. Yeah.
Thanks,
Bye.
Larissa. All right. I totally agree with everything that Larissa just said.
Yeah, no doubt.
But I do think that this team does need certain players to just step up more, or maybe they're in a situation where maybe they're being asked to step up more than other second-year players. I mean, we'll see how the roster turns out. But, we've seen Peter Skoronski take a leap in this second year. We saw Jalen Harrell continue to ascend now, and maybe at a slower pace, but look at Cedric Gray in his second year. Mm-hmm. He jumped up big time, and he was a big-time factor for this team last year. And I know that J.C. Latham still gets hate. But I thought J.C. Latham played better this year than he did his prior year, better than his freshman year. And that typically tends to happen. When I say this, it's not just to say, well, this is the only guy that needs to improve. They all got to improve some form of fashion. But some guys are going to be asked to have a little bit more of a role.
The second-year guys.
Just the second-year guys. And non-Cam Ward category, because obviously Cam Ward needs to step up the most for this team to have success. And listen, I'll go through some of the things in the chat first, F&M Bank chat. We have Bustin' Diamond says Femi. Brycer says, with the defensive end issues, it's 100% Femi. He needs to show a pulse. Adam Weber says DK's wide receiver production. He puts a lot of pressure on a player. He says that DK needs to have 1,000 receiving yards. I don't know about that one. Jameson TB says it needs to be Io Manor or DK need to solidify one of the starting positions with one of those players. Alec Io Manor from Jacob Ray. Femi for sure, says Thomas Locke. Love to see what Saleh does for his game. His attitude is awesome. Hope he pans out. Here's where I'm at. I'm going to say that I think it needs to be Kevin Winston. And the reason why this team needs Kevin Winston is because I think they have the worst depth currently behind safety. And I think he is going to be a key cog for this defense. And he was trending, I thought, was having a pretty good rookie year after not having played a lot in college his final year. And he's having a pretty good rookie year. A little bit of injuries derailed any kind of progress, which is a tale as old as time because it was for Femi, and that happens to a lot of rookies across the league. And I think this team needs Kevin Winston back there and to be able to play a bunch of different positions because he's going to be moved out around a lot. Now I'm not saying they had a bad rookie year or anything, or this is a do or die year, but I just think looking at this team, sure, you would love to have Femi turn into a big force of nature, but you have defensive ends. You have Calvin Ridley and Wan'Dale Robinson, both 1,000-yard receivers, so the pressure is a little bit less on an Alec Io Manor or Chimere DK. But Kevin Winston, it's Amani Hooker and Kevin Winston, and I'm hoping that Kevin Winston is better than Amani Hooker. That's a tall ask because we're talking about, a 7 or 8 year vet versus a 2-year guy. But I think this team desperately needs Kevin Winston and Kevin Winston and Amani Hooker to step up in general. But when you look at the roster, they really need Kevin Winston to stay healthy. And I think this team needs Kevin Winston a lot right now.
Well, I mean, Winston just needs to stay healthy. Mm-hmm. I think, his play when he did play, even though he was in and out of the lineup, was very productive. So if he stays healthy, I firmly believe he'll be what he should be. Now, there are parts of me that, based off how the team is built now, it should be a little bit easier. I wouldn't use him as multi-tooled as they did. They had him over the slot a little bit, and I don't think he was ready for that, especially the twitch and everything else that you need and eye discipline for that position, being that he hadn't played a lot in covering. So I would have kept him more run support, dime guy to safety guy. And I think if they leave him there with now all the corners that they have, I think now he can be fantastic. So he just has to stay healthy. I think he has all the tools to be really, really good. And now I think it's going to help Hooker too, because Hooker now can be the ball hog guy that he is. So now let's define, what is his strengths? Let's kind of try to keep him there most of the time. But you have to disguise. You want multi-tool players. But let's, in critical moments, let's have him at his best. And he's a ball hawk. And his diagnosis of the pass coverages, against route recognition, I think is phenomenal. So I think now he's matched up with a guy that kind of offsets him. And then I think then they'll start complimenting one another along the way. So, yeah, I mean, that's a good one. But it's kind of hard. All of them need to improve.
Yeah.
Which one needs to be more or less. You want to see how much maturation they can accrue. So do you think a guy coming out in the second round, let's say at wide receiver, pass rusher, let's say DK, Alec, do you think you can get a player that's better than them with them maybe improving incrementally just a little bit? So do you think in the second round you'll get a better Femi? Will you get a better Alec? And will you get a better DK? And those guys win in the fourth round and only Femi win in the second round. So that's where you're at when you start making these decisions. Can they be better than them if you're thinking they're going to get at least a little bit better at worst case scenario? after their rookie year. Even Gunnar Helm.
Yeah.
Who I think he had 400 yards maybe or something to that effect. He did a really good job, and just think he was sharing time and with getting catches and everything else. So I don't know how much better he can get because he may not get as many opportunities. Maybe he'll get more. Yeah. I don't know, depending on the weapons you get outside.
Yeah, depending on what Bellinger is, right? And depending on how Dable actually tries to use him. I could sit here and say, well, maybe he'll use him like Dawson Knox, but maybe that's not the plan.
So, yeah, we don't know what that's going to actually look like, but I'm assuming that those guys are going to get a little bit better. I just think the work ethic they bring to the table and where they win, and probably both, or most of them, all felt like they should have probably went higher in their draft. And they may be that talented. I don't know, because based off their performance, we could say they're average players in the National Football League, but how much better would they get after one rookie season?
Right.
Man, I would have, my rookie year to the second year, man, I improved a lot. And it was more so just recognition, eye recognition, and confidence that you can do certain things in this league that are pretty good.
Yeah.
And you know it. And once you have that kind of demeanor and confidence about you as an athlete, that kind of starts taking over, and then you start playing just instinctively. And you start elevating your game to heights that maybe you didn't even think you could get to. You didn't even think about it. And so how you can, dominate games. So I think all those guys, I really still believe they need an elite receiver that everybody's
because Calvin Ridley's really only here for 1 year, right? Yeah. So we're trying to plan for next year too.
Right. So is this the draft to do it?
I would say in the first or second round, maybe in the third is the draft to at least roll the dice to see if you can find a guy.
Roll the dice. So, okay, let's say first, second round. Tell me a receiver that you think is better than, you think will be better long-term than Ellick and DK.
Oh, man. That could be available for the Titans. I would say 35, Denzel Boston. I'm willing to make that bet on Denzel Boston.
So what makes, I'm just asking a question.
Yeah, go ahead.
What makes Denzel Boston better than Alec Imanner, who's a big receiver target guy, just like Boston?
Yeah, I think he's more athletic, and I think he has a better catch radius. He's more reliable catching the ball as well. But I do think maybe this is because his dad was David Boston. Okay. But I think that his routes are a little bit more nuanced. He wasn't asked to run them, but when he did run different routes, he was able to do it at a pretty good rate. So I do think he's a fast. I know he didn't run a 40. And listen, Alec Imanner ran a 4.440. 4.44 40. But I did not see that on the field, even at Stanford. I didn't see it in the NFL, and I didn't see it at Stanford. When the pads came on, Denzel Boston looks faster.
See, so that's what they're sitting there talking about right now.
Right.
And is Boston ceiling much higher than Ellick or DK?
Like you talked to me about third round and Elijah Surratt out of Indiana. He's not zero. I can't remember what his
13?
number is. 13.
13. Mm-hmm.
To me, I think him and Alec Imanner are kind of the same ceiling. Not the same receiver, but the same kind of ceiling. Now, Elijah Surratt is an ex-receiver.
I like that.
But I would say, okay, I'm not really drafting Elijah Surratt in the third because I got Alec Imanner from last year. That to me just is like you're doubling down on maybes.
So then when you're sitting there, you're still taking the best available if you
now if he's the best available, he's the best available. But I would
best
have
available in the draft in totality.
Yeah. I don't think Elijah Surratt will be that guy. But again, I know there are a lot of fans who, let's say you pass on wide receiver in the first round, pass on wide receiver on the second. There are fans that are saying that it's a failure for the Tennessee Titans if they don't draft a wide receiver by the third round. And I think that's totally untrue.
Well, this draft, it could be just like the draft that, Ellick and those guys were in. Is the fourth round, they can get a player of their ilk, something similar. And you don't force it. And you say, now we got another, you don't force it, meaning that you didn't get some high-profile chipper guy who can just change the world if he gets on the field. So, man, it's going to be interesting. That's a tough one there for me because I want to say all of them.
Yeah.
Should.
And it really is. And listen,
I just don't know if one over the other, man. Can you think of one, Ross, one over the other? I mean, I'm sure everybody has a guy, but yeah, I could say Winston because he didn't play as much. They would I would lean more into that. But there's a part of me, I still think the receivers, after playing 1 year, they both should be much better.
Yeah. We'll hear Ross's answer when we come back as we're up against the break. But we'll also go to Aean as well. And we'll talk about how the second-year players should or shouldn't influence their draft day decisions when we come back. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone. Hey, it's Zach Lyons, and I'm back after getting my vision corrected by Dr. Horn at Vision for Life. And let me tell you, it's been incredible. From the very first consultation, I knew I was in the right place. Dr. Horn personally sat down with me just like he does with every patient and answered every single question I had. I never felt rushed. He made me feel completely at ease and confident that I had made the right decision. The follow-up appointment was smooth, on time, and the entire team treated me like family. You can tell they genuinely care. And surgery day, it was honestly easier than I imagined. The procedure took less than 5 minutes, no pain, no drama. And now I'm seeing better than 2020. I can't believe how clear everything is. It's one of those things where you really don't realize what you've been missing until you see it for yourself. If you're tired of glasses and contacts like I was, don't wait. Call Vision for Life at 615-436-2020 or visit visionforlife.com and schedule your consultation with Dr. Horn today. Trust me, it's worth it. Cover 2. Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here at 104.5 The Zone, powered by All Four Seasons Garage Door. And guess what? This Wednesday, no April Fool's joke.
No, I don't trust you.
I'm just saying, Cover 2 will be out at the Titans open house at Titans House on Wednesday from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Now, we'll only be there from 1 to 3, but the whole station will be there from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m.
Oh, we will.
Experience the future of game day with an exclusive look at Titans House, the new Nissan Stadium Experience Center. Enjoy food, drinks, special guests, and more. Purchase a PSL at the event and receive a new jersey as a gift. For more information, visit 1045thezone.com/events. So.
It's a Blaine Bishop jersey, in case you were wondering.
No. Well, I was going to say this. One of the special guests will be yours truly, Blaine Bishop from 3 to 5.
I was about to say after the show.
So you knew that?
Well, I've now that you say it, because I was thinking about.
How you gonna know something that I'm supposed to tell? How you gonna know that?
They put it in an email, but I couldn't remember who else was going to be there.
Oh, they did?
Because I think Derek Morgan is going to be there.
I don't
here's
know
the
who
thing.
I
guess
have no idea.
I don't know why they scheduled it this way, but all the guests are going to be there before our show. And then all the guests are going to be there after our show. No guests during our show. So maybe everybody was supposed to come watch you.
They want all the attention to come to the show.
I guess so.
Yeah, we worked that all out, before a couple of weeks ago. But, hey, I give them credit. They followed my lead on that one.
There you go. We've been talking about year 2 Titans players that need to make the jump, in your all's opinion. Ross, we didn't get to yours. Of course, now he's on the phone now that I was going to toss it to him. But as soon as Ross is off the phone, we'll give it to Ross. Let's go to Ian in Bellevue. Ian, you're on Blaine and Zach.
Knowledge us, Ian.
Hey, gents.
Hello.
Good to hear from you this afternoon. Hope you can hear me.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so year 2, I'll give you one on offense and defense.
Okay.
Offense, we need Gunnar Helm to step up. He's the tight end number 1 now.
Mm-hmm.
He's also going to help keep some of our nice little shifty receivers, including our new pickup in Robinson, safe across the move. But in defense, too, we need Vimy.
Mm-hmm.
The pass rush just needs to get home, and that's going to be the best way. Get extra bodies that can make the pressure. Gents, thank you.
Yeah, hold on, Ian. Okay. I know you have some technical. How many sacks would Femi in his second year with not a lot of play? I think he played only 6 games. And then Gunnar Helm, as far as receiving yards, I think he was somewhere around 300-400, or maybe a little bit more than that. But what would your expectation? Does it have to show in their numbers, or does it just have to show in their impact?
In their impact, I very least, we already know Gunnar Helm's a good blocking tight end, so, if he necessarily as easily as a good reception or touchdown, so if he can make an impact in any way, I'm happy with it. Same with Vimy. I mean, if he's there for 16 games, I'll be happy.
Okay, so you're expecting 16 games, and the numbers will show.
There you go. Thank you, Ian. 357 yards and 2 touchdowns for Gunnar Helm.
So with better weapons around him, I would assume it should be a little easier. No, is that how you look at it?
Should. I mean, it's difficult because I know Brian Dable does a really good job of adapting his personnel to, or his system to his personnel. Outside of Cam Ward, who else is he adapting to? That's the question we don't know, right? Because we know they brought in Daniel Bellinger and they're paying him what, like $8 million a year. Well, that would kind of tell you that he's at least going to be playing the majority of the snaps. Now, that does not mean that he's going to be the better receiver or get all the targets or anything like that. But if they're going to be in 12 personnel or even 11 personnel and run from 11 personnel, are you going to have Daniel Bellinger out there or Gunnar Helm? So, what's Gunnar Helm's snap count look like?
And opportunities.
And same with Aean Manor and Chimere DK. So, it's hard for me to know without maybe we will see a little bit from training camp and stuff like that. And maybe that will give us a different idea. But we don't know who Brian Dable is walking in and saying, here's who I need to build the system around. We also don't know what he's saying. Here's who we need in this draft for my system as well. Because maybe he looks at an Aean Manor, or maybe even looks at a Gunnar Helm. And as crazy as this may sound, I'm just saying coaches do this a lot. Maybe they want their guys that they feel fit their system a little bit better. Or does Mike Bergonzi saying, hey, you got to get this thing done with what you got? I don't know. And it may just, his hand may be forced because there's really not a tight end to be honest, better than Gunnar Helm in this draft that I would be drafting.
No, me either.
So I mean, I'm just saying.
I mean,
we just know how those coaches. Yeah,
we top two maybe, but that's it.
Right. We just know how these coaches sometimes work. So we just because Gunnar Helm was starting to be featured and had 44 receptions for 357 yards, he may not get the same opportunity in this system. Now, I would bet that he does, but I'm just allowing for the possibility. You got typically when you have a tight end and a slot guy, it's hard to feed both those guys at a high rate. And we know he loves to feed Wan'Dale Robinson 2 seasons, 140 targets.
So I don't want people to come back and if he only has 345 yards this season, oh man, he was worse this year.
Yeah.
You know.
Right.
He did it with less opportunities.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But the team is better.
The team hopefully is better.
Yeah, well, I would assume it will be. I'm positive on that for sure.
Yeah.
And I actually think Gunnar Helm
he should have a role in this offense.
I believe that wholeheartedly. I think he showed by the end of the year, especially those last 4 or 5 games. I want to say that Cleveland game, he caught a big-time catch. There was another game out. It was here at home. And I was like, all right, now he's kind of starting to figure it out. So I was like, they probably won't be chick back. Because you're getting someone with a little more upside and more balance. When the caller says he's a good blocker, I would say he's an average blocker, more of a receiver in this league at this point in time. And can he get better? Absolutely. So, and he will be, especially to understand positioning. So you could see that in training camp, though. You really could to see that he could run some routes.
Yeah. Gunnar Helm does a good job of finding the soft spots of the zone in the coverage and sitting down, being able to he doesn't really go down easy in the first, the first contact. So I do expect that they'll find a way to use him. But again, you're talking about he likes to feed a wide receiver 100+ targets, and he likes to the wide receiver, de facto best wide receiver on the team, but also while feeding the other wide receiver, Wan'Dale Robinson, 100+ targets. Like, he loves feeding wide receivers targets and funneling targets towards those wide receivers. So how does he feel about Gunnar Helm?
Did he do that the second year? I mean, and I'm talking about 2 years back where Neighbors
was like 170 or 180 targets, and Wan'Dale was 140 targets, if I'm not mistaken.
Got you.
So, like, it was crazy. What was your second-year jump, Ross?
Y'all already nailed both of them on the head, because at first I was going to say Kevin, and you went on about that, and then I was going to say Gunners, so you got that. A third person where I think it's a different conversation, I'm curious to hear what y'all think, is about Femi. With Femi, I'm not looking to see necessarily how big of a jump he takes, that he needs to take one. I'm more just, I want to know after this year, what do we have? Because it's like, we know we kind of drafted him as a project after 2 years, and I know he got hurt, but like, do we have a guy that can stay on this roster and contribute, or do we have a guy that it isn't going to work out here? I kind of want to figure that out with him before we talk about some big jump that he could take.
Yeah,
I think that's great analysis.
I do too.
Yeah, because that's only fair to him. What do we actually? We don't know. I think he's just more a robotic type player at this point in time. And will he be more reactive, kind of how he was at middle linebacker when you watch him on tape compared to when he was playing defensive end here? It was a new position for him. Played, at the end of the last season there at UCLA, but. I just don't. Sometimes
I think a lot of fans are expecting a lot from Femi Oladejo this year, and I don't think that's the right expectation you should be setting if you're a fan.
Right. So asking for 4 or 5 sacks.
I don't think that's a big ask technically, but I do think that it may be hard to come by because there's a lot of guys ahead of him.
How many sacks did Harrell have?
5.5. I'm never said that Harrell wasn't better than Femi. I'm just saying.
No, I'm not saying that he's a better player.
I know, but
so that's saying. Why that's where the expectation comes. We're talking about a last round guy who's in his second year, who was an actual pass rusher, but more. Right.
Do you want someone to say that he's better? Because I was about ready to say it.
I think he's better.
You go ahead and say it. I'm not going to say it.
As a pass rusher, for sure, I think he's better.
I think Harrell's a better edge setter right now too.
Now, so Femi, he got better.
But he got better.
To the first, you can see it.
See, that is a guy that took a based on his production and where he was drafted, he took a big leap. Like, people don't understand the leap that he took from year 1 to year 2, Jalen Harrell. for where he was drafted in the round.
And I was surprised based off of that jump. I didn't expect that. I did not.
Showed up on film, flashed up on film in game time, flashed. Mm-hmm. And I didn't see that from Femi year one. I'd love to see that same kind of deal from Femi in year two. I think that's a fair expectation because really, Jalen Harrell probably played like most second edge round edge rushers that fail their first year and succeed their second year. So, I mean, Jalen Harrell was kind of a still, we should probably talk about that for Femi.
Yeah, so my expectation is 5 sacks at least.
Yeah.
Because of what Jalen Harrell did being a later round the year before. So you should be at least where he's at today, Harrell being a third-year guy going into his third year and you going into your second. Sorry, you're a second-round pick. Yeah. There's pressure that comes with that and expectations, and you got to speed up this clock. We got to get it going. You got to be a factor in the game. If I'm up there, just imagine this now. This is what happens. I'm sitting in the meeting room, and I'm the defensive end or pass rush guy you're asking, who are you playing? And that's a conversation. Am I going to play Femi in critical situations, or I'm going to play Jalen Harrell? Like,
if I have to choose between the two, I'm playing Harrell.
Right, like as of today.
Of today.
We need to see leaps and bound jumps. We got to.
I trust Harrell more. I've seen enough from Jalen Harrell to trust him not to screw up.
Have a higher ceiling.
Yes.
How quickly can you get there to at least where we're not having a conversation if I'm going to have you or Harold out here?
I agree.
I cannot have this conversation if I'm the defensive end coach.
And I do think he's an edge rusher. Like,
yes.
I don't see him as a linebacker because he doesn't
Femi
move.
is definitely not a linebacker.
He's not a linebacker.
Yeah.
There's
no doubt.
He's got to be this or it's not going to work.
But
exactly.
It's just, if
it's not going to work with Robert Saleh and Aaron Whitecotton, I have a hard time believing it's not going to work anywhere else. Doesn't mean it will work. I just have a hard time saying that these guys can't get Femi to produce.
I know I'm going to jump here. Did we ever hear Saleh critique Femi? I remember him saying something about college.
Yeah.
I remember saying something about college.
I don't think critique Femi, but I think he did say that, stuff like, there's a lot of good things on tape that we still got to work with and develop. I don't think he critiqued him.
That's just the whole thing with Femi when you bring up this topic, which I think is a great topic about the second-year guys. Is I think it is unrealistic to say, I want him to take this big step when we don't even know what we got still.
Man, I think, I don't know. I don't either.
You can make cases for really all the other guys except maybe Slater and Khalil Mullins.
Yeah.
But here's the it doesn't matter. He's in his second year and he was a second-round pick.
They got to get something out of him because that is a huge question mark with Mike Bergonzi's decision-making last year. On top of this year, the way he's handling the interior offensive line so far, some of that out of his control.
Yeah, I got to see something.
Just real quick. So Gunnar Helm caught 44 passes off 55 targets last year.
Oh, good. Wow.
Looking at Dawson Knox in the 3 years he was with Brian Dable, 50 targets, 44 targets, and 71 targets in order from 2019 to 2021. 388 yards, 288 yards, 587 yards, 2 touchdowns, 3 touchdowns, 9 touchdowns. So I do go back to where's the ball going to go in a Brian Dable system, and it doesn't feel like it's going to go to Gunnar Helm a lot. Now, maybe Gunnar Helm is better than Dawson Knox. He's obviously, if you're judging by rookie year, 44 catches, 55 yards, it's 80% catch rate versus a 56% catch rate. So maybe there will be more to lean into Gunnar Helm because maybe he's a little bit better than Dawson Knox. I don't know. Just saying, when we're setting expectations for these rookies, and we'll maybe have a bigger, larger episode for this conversation, but when we're setting expectations for some of these second-year players, I worry that people are going to look at the stat sheet or the box score and not take into account how Brian Dable's traditionally ran his offense.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why. Does the numbers match up, or we're saying he's not getting opportunities, and he is a better player when he's getting the ball. We see it. We're just not getting the ball to him enough because we have other weapons that are better. And that happens sometimes in the league. Like you sit there, just imagine if they get a receiver with the 4th pick. And now, okay, let's just imagine we have Tate, Ridley, Wandale, Ellick,
I mean,
DK.
how does Ellick and DK get
how
that?
How much is going to go to Gunnar Hill?
Yeah.
I mean, like that's going to be.
I question how much it's going to go to DK at that point.
See, how much would it go to Wandale at that point?
Right.
And you say it'd be easy for him to get a lot, but if you got that many players,
and maybe it's Ridley's finds himself as the odd man out. There's only so many people that can garner up that amount of targets without having to throw the ball a lot, and we don't want right now Cam Ward throwing the ball a lot.
It's good problems, though.
It is a good problem to technically have if it results in wins.
To have too many mouths.
Technically, it didn't result in wins for the Giants, but we'll see. But I'm just saying, like, it is a good mouth to have, or a good problem to have all those mouths to feed.
And by the way, Bellinger, right? That's his name, the tight end that we signed from the Giants. I mean, they're paying him $7 million a year or somewhere around there. Like, he may get more targets than he's gotten in previous years.
Because he may be on the field to get them, right? In situations where Gunnar Hill may not be on the field. Or are they really going to do something that he hasn't really done a lot and do a lot of 12 personnel? Yeah. Well, which if he does 12 personnel, then Wandale, who you just paid $17 million, how's he getting on the field? This is the situation and the push and pull of roster building and scheme and all that kind of stuff. It's going to be, I'm very interested to see what this draft is going to look like.
I saw some upside there in Bellinger. And opportunities. If he got more opportunity, hey man, I'm telling you right now,
I think he's a good red zone tight end.
He's a specimen
and
now.
He can run run the football.
Well, he gets the ball, but he's gonna walk out of there. He's gonna look like, oh my, who is this? 6'4", ripped up and can run. Like this guy looks the part. I mean, every bit of any super athletic tight end. He looks it. And so maybe he just had some bad luck with injuries and opportunities, but. When you sign a guy, even though it was for a short window here, I think he's gonna show better than we think too as well.
Yeah. All right, more conversation about the Tennessee Titans when we come back. This is Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone. Cover 2, Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone, powered by all 4 Seasons Garage doors. 615-737-1045 is the number. The owners' meeting's going down right now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Buck's there, right?
Buck's there.
Heard him talking.
A to Z is there. Jim Wyatt's down there. A few people are down there. Mike Berganzi, I guess, is speaking right now to, I don't know. Sometimes they do a one-on-one sit-down with everybody. Sometimes it's a breakfast. I don't know which one it is. But here's just a couple of nuggets that I've seen. This is from PK. There will be competition at center and right guard. Plus, we have the draft. It's pretty strong there. Day 2, day 3 from Mike Berganzi. They're going to keep all options open on the interior line. So there is that. And then he also said, Berganzi says their volume approach to free agency is not his preferred method, but this offseason came with a little urgency to get back to baseline competitive across the board. That's from Buck Rising. Buck also said, where was it that... this is from Jim Wyatt. Jim Wyatt said, Mike Berganzi said, we're still in a position to take the best player available in the draft. Jeremiah Love, left train. Let's start it back up.
Oh, my.
Start it back up.
Yeah. So that's not his preferred method, what they actually did. But so he read the room, and reading the room, guys, is just what's available, what can you get at different, times, whether it's draft, free agency, and thereafter. So, yeah, man, that's a good. I kind of like it.
I think it was a smart approach.
Yeah.
To free agency, because free agency, we all kind of agree, but like, I would invest in money in free agency in the draft at defense. I felt it was deeper. I felt you were getting better value, and you had better player schematic fits as well,
and familiarity. Some guys
familiarity, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
And then I go and look at this draft, and I really think that if I were approaching this draft from a general manager perspective, looking at this team, I would go heavy offense. At the very least, my first 3 picks are going to be all offense if the board falls the correct way. And then I'll sprinkle in some defense with some more offense in day 3, because I think you need to be planning for developmental tackles for the future. Dan Moore can be cut after this year if they so choose. Maybe you find a guy in the 6th, 7th, or 5th round, like a Travis Burke out of Memphis or Markel Bell out of Miami, some guy on day 3 that you can maybe develop into a tackle to take over for Dan Moore. Maybe you don't, but there's worse ways to spend that kind of pick than maybe trying to find and develop, which Carmen Bursillo has been known to do, a day 3 guy into a starter. So I'm kind of looking at this draft, and I'm going, these first 3 picks, I'm going offense. Like you're not gonna be able to, unless Jeremiah Love is gone. You're not gonna be able to talk me out of Jeremiah Love at 4. And then I may look at taking a guard in the 2nd round. Now, if Denzel Boston's there, I'm running up to the board and going Jeremiah Love, Denzel Boston. You guys telling me you ain't gonna like that? And then 3rd round, I'm going guard or center. And then I'm going to go guard or center in the 4th, and then we'll just see what the 5th round looks like. But, like, that's kind of the way I'm leaning, because you get some young guys that you could still develop. You're probably giving Peter Skoronski an extension, and if you got this guard and this center, these interior offensive linemen, and your day 2, day 3 picks, they're battling out with Sloatman, Slater, and Volson, and those guys win out, I'd be very surprised because they are rookies. But if those guys win out, you got a pretty young offensive line for the future as well. Not just this year, but for the future. I mean, that's the way I'm kind of looking at it right now. And I wonder if that's what Mike Berganzi's really thinking.
Well, it sounds like he's saying something similar to that. We don't know how the draft will follow. So eventually, you're saying that you'll take 3 offensive guys right off the bat, not knowing. But let's say this. I know you're a fascination with Love at the first pick. Now, what would you take in a second? You said you would take
Denzel. If he's there, Denzel Boston, I'm running up there.
Okay, one of your number 1 ranked guard or center are there.
If it's like, I think that it's probably, if I were to look at it, like Emmanuel Pregnan from Oregon. And he's my number 1 ranked, or even my number 2 ranked, and Denzel Boston's my number 5 wide receiver.
That's exactly what it's going to be.
I would take Bregman. I would take the guard. And I love Denzel Boston, but I would take it. But I mean, like if I was the general manager, I would do that because Bregman can start day one, and I'm not going to be worried about him being a rookie. He is a road grader. I mean, he's a mauler and all that kind of stuff. Like I love him, and I know he can start. And right now, that's the more pressing need. But man, it'd be tough for me to pass on Denzel Boston too, though. But like, because I'm thinking,
what would you do, Ross? Bregman or Boston if second round?
Bregman because of need.
Yeah,
and I know I can't get ahead of myself because who knows what could happen. But that receiver class next year, man. Boston might be wide receiver 12 in that class.
Right, see?
But, I hear what Zach's saying, though.
No.
If he's there, it's going to be tough to say no to him in the second round.
Because you're just dreaming of Cam Ward to Denzel Boston, Calvin Ridley, Wan'Dale Robinson, but does he have the protection to hold to be able to get that ball to them?
What if they took an offensive tackle?
I guess they're moving J.C. Latham to guard, and where are they taking the offensive tackle in the second round? I do want to talk about this tomorrow. My plan tomorrow is talk about the offensive line a little bit because I read over the weekend there could be 8 offensive tackles that go in the first round.
What?
That there wouldn't be surprised if this is almost a tie for record-breaking offensive tackles in the first round, and that's a fourth of the draft, by the way. That would be huge for the Titans.
I'm about to go watch 15 offensive tackles.
I don't think the Titans are going to be one of those offensive tackles. But we saw Penei Sewell is getting shifted to left tackle today, according to Dan Campbell. So they need a right tackle, and this is a really good right tackle class, not a great left tackle class. So I just wonder how the offensive line room, that first round really does affect the Tennessee Titans. I want to talk about that tomorrow. So let's talk about the Titans' chances of taking a tackle as well. Let's talk about that tomorrow. 3HL's up next. This has been Cover 2 with Blaine Bishop and Zach Lyons here on 104.5 The Zone. And in the meantime.
And in between time. Peace.
Yeah, I was actually.